Eskimos are still the #1 team in the Canadian Football League. They're led by a group of veterans on both sides of the ball. Defensive back Andre Francis is one of the leaders on defense. He's been around for a long time, and he's one player who isn't waiting until his playing days are over to find another line of work. Ken Chillibeck reports from Edmonton.
This is the other side of Andre Francis, the writer. Here he's working on his weekly column that he writes for the Edmonton Sun. A column by an athlete is not new nowadays, but in this case, Francis is a little different. He actually writes it himself, and he takes his writing seriously.
Well, usually it takes me about an hour to write the rough draft, and about another hour to type it up, so about 2 hours. But it's a lot of fun. Sometimes it takes 4 hours because I can write the whole column, and the next day when I'm getting ready to type it, different ideas come in my head, different angles, and I'll rewrite that whole story. So no less than an hour, no more than 4.
Another thing about Francis and his writing is he doesn't shy away from creating a little controversy. You can look at a couple of recent articles. One, he talks about Calgary and Edmonton and the rivalry, and he says Calgary against Edmonton is not a rivalry. It's merely a game between two CFL Western Division teams. He says a rivalry needs two teams who oppose each other with mutual respect and not awe. Goes on to say, I'm totally convinced Calgary is convinced they can't beat us. Another one, he talks about the BC Lions after the recent firing of their coach. He says for the players and the Lions, it must have been quite an adjustment to go from playing for a Larry Donovan, who had as much control over a team as a baby has over its bladder, to Koharek, whose control bordered on tyranny. For Francis, he says it like it is.
When you say controversial, a lot of times I view that as when you're controversial, you're telling the truth. You know, if you're faking and shaking it, then everything's cool. So if controversial is telling the truth, then I'm that.
Francis has gone through some tough times in his life. He's an admitted alcoholic. Says he hasn't had a drink in 3 years. He's turned his life around. Now he says he's focused. He feels his football career is far from over. And when it is, though, he knows what he'll be doing.
I can go as far as I want to go, and I think I'm versatile enough that I don't have to be just a sports writer. I believe I can write on a variety of topics, but I love sports.
Francis says his writing has resulted actually in more work on the field for him. It seems opposition teams haven't taken kindly to some of his comments. He's had 18 balls thrown his way in the last 2 games. They're going after him. And he says he loves that since it gives him more chances for interceptions. Ken Chillibeck, TSN in Edmonton.